Today, Suzuki announced their 2021 update for the GSX-S1000, and it comes with new bodywork, tweaks to the engine, better electronics, and a couple of changes that ought to make it better over long distance. So in today's video, we'll go over all of the specs and tell you everything you need to know about it. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see all of the latest motorcycle news right here on YouTube, then please do remember to hit subscribe. The most obvious change is the visual restyling, with the previous generation starting to look a little dated by modern standards. I absolutely love what they've done with it, with a much more angular and aggressive look. It almost looks like it's taken some inspiration from their Katana reboot, which is based upon the same platform, although this new bike tones down the retro touches for something more contemporary. The bodywork uses what they call a mass-forward design ethos that gives it that hunched-over aggressive look, and it comes in 3 paint jobs for 2021: Suzuki's traditional metallic Triton blue, a new mechanical matte grey, and a stealthy gloss black. It also gets textured radiator shrouds, MotoGP-inspired winglets, and side panels that they say feature an urban camo finish, which at a glance looks a bit like carbon. The front end is totally different, with hexagonal stacked LED headlights that should also improve visibility owing to a monofocus LED light source that they say gives a wide and bright beam. At the rear there's a new LED taillight too, and indicators are also LED all round. Of course, the new Euro 5 emissions regulations have forced Suzuki to make changes to the engine, with reduced valve overlap and a new exhaust system with an extra catalyzer, both helping the engine to run cleaner. Other changes include a revision to the valve springs, a new airbox with reduced intake resistance, and Suzuki claim that the result is a flatter torque curve that fills in the gaps of the previous generation bike. That said, peak torque is down ever so slightly from 108 Nm to 106. To counter this, they've allowed the engine to rev up by an extra 1000 RPM, which means that peak power now goes up from 150 PS to 152, but you'll have to hit 11,000 RPM to find it, as opposed to the 10 of the previous gen. It's also worth keeping in mind that the total weight of the bike is up from 209 kilograms to 214, probably owing to some of those Euro 5 changes like the extra cat, and so even with a better peak power figure, power to weight will still be a tiny bit down. I'd expect this new engine to deliver a more refined ride though, with that improvement in the torque curve, along with the new electronic throttle bodies, which give them more control on the initial throttle opening, as well as a new slip and assist clutch, which makes for a lighter feel at the lever, whilst also ensuring that the rear wheel doesn't lock up on aggressive downshifts. Electronics have also been improved, with a new ride-by-wire throttle that opens up 3 throttle maps, with Mode A being the sportiest, down to Mode C that gives the softest feel. On top of that, there's now an up and down quick shifter as standard, and traction control has also been updated with 5 modes and the option to switch it off. They say that the new system uses inputs from the front and rear wheel sensors, as well as the crank, gear, and throttle position sensors, all of which feed into the ECU to optimize throttle valve opening, ignition timing, and the fuel injection rate in order to reduce or prevent wheel spin. The dash gets an update with a new LCD unit that looks not dissimilar from the Katanas, and there's also their easy start system, which just requires one short press of the starter button, along with their low RPM assist that boosts the rev slightly as the clutch is fed out to prevent stalling. Whilst the frame, swing arms, suspension, and Brembo brakes remain largely the same, there are a couple of tweaks to improve comfort on this 2021 bike. The bars are now 23mm wider, which offers more leverage when turning in, and they've also been moved 20mm closer to the rider, which they say will improve comfort without compromising on handling. The suspension settings have also been updated, and there's a new seat design which they say offers greater comfort over distance. The fuel tank has been increased in capacity from 17 litres up to 19, but consumption is also up, so the range will remain pretty much the same at just under 200 miles. You can register interest straight away on the Suzuki website, with bikes in dealers from the end of June. The starting price is £10,999, which seems like decent value on the face of it if you want a well-specced, powerful bike, but without all the electronics and tech of the more premium options in the market, like a TFT dash and lean-sensitive rider aids. This bike ought to offer a good, fundamental, sporty riding experience at a decent price, and personally, I dig the new looks a lot. It's the best looking bike Suzuki have made in a while in my opinion, but as always I'd love to know what you think of it down in the comments below. Let me know your take. I think it looks particularly good in this grey option, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.